So the labor and delivery nurse said, "Oh, don't worry, Simon doesn't have trisomy 18." She said he wouldn't even be on a heart monitor. And my heart just bled for those babies that wouldn't be on one. After Simon did get the diagnosis of trisomy 18, he was now labeled, and treatment changed dramatically, and medical care was being withheld.
I mean, I think they looked at the totality of his condition and decided that they were not going to do anything whatsoever because they viewed him as a terminally ill child that there was no hope for. And because of that, that dictated the level of care they were going to provide, which was strictly comfort care or palliative care, whatever you want to call it, even though we were fighting and pushing and asking for them to do everything they could to maximize his life.
I'll never forget, and it was December 2nd at like 9 o'clock at night or somewhere in there. And one of the nurses had said, it wasn't the nurse practitioner, but one of the nurses had said, "Well, do you want?" I said, "I don't want to give him morphine," because he was really fussy. His saturation levels were dropping. She looks at me and smiles and says, "Would you like to give him a sedative with this?" And I'll never forget, and I can tell you exactly where we were at in the hospital when she said this. And I thought, well, why? She goes, "Just, for agitation, just to calm him." Well, they ended up that night giving Simon Ativan, which is called lorazepam, I guess, and the generic name. And they gave it to him at 9 that night, and they gave it to him at 9 a.m. the next morning, and he passed at 10 a.m. that next morning. Later did I find out, actually from one of Simon's special nurses, that it's contraindicated, or it can cause severe reactions to the point of death with those who are having apnea.
How can you give that to a baby when you know that's suffering from apnea? It can result in death for a patient in apnea that's an adult. So why would you give it to a baby who suffers from apnea because of trisomy 18?
Shortly after Simon's death, his family obtained his medical records. They were shocked by what they found. They were horrified to find out that "do not resuscitate" was written in his chart.
Imagine, after your child passes, and seeing DNR, do not resuscitate, which we never signed, and comfort feeds, which means Simon was receiving only the minimal amount of food, which we would have never have approved of, written in his medical records.